All right, guys. So let's go through this here. So we need to write out the reaction in words, identify the type, and balance. Let's do the type for number 1 first. What type of reaction is that? Synthesis. All right. So give them a mark if they wrote that that is a synthesis reaction. Okay, 1 mark for that. We got to write it out in words. Be is beryllium plus oxygen gives us beryllium oxide. It must look like I have written it for them to get that mark. Okay, writing out the reaction in words correctly with no mistakes, 1 mark. I'll let spelling go today, but here's why in the future I won't. It's on your periodic table. Okay, copy it off the periodic table. Okay, all right. Number 2, or sorry, we got a balance. Sorry. So we got 2 oxygens over here. It's the only thing that's not balanced to begin with. So we need to put a 2 in front of this, and then a 2 in front of this. They don't have to have that 1 in front of oxygen, but blank means 1. All right. So 1 mark for that. So 1 mark for 2, 1, 2. 1 mark for synthesis. 1 mark for beryllium plus oxygen gives beryllium oxide. No, I just said I didn't have to. Okay. So number 2, we've got an ionic compound reacting with an element to form a new ionic compound, new element. That's a single replacement reaction. So if they have single replacement, give them a mark for that. Okay, balancing that out, present in the highest number, lithium. Okay, so I'm going to come over here, I'm going to put a 2 in front of lithium, and that should pretty much do it. Okay, everything else is a 1 or blank. Okay, whichever they did. And then written out in words, this stuff is calcium carbonate, okay, plus lithium gives lithium carbonate plus calcium. 1 mark for that. All right, third one. All 4 compounds are ionic. What kind of reaction is that? Double replacement. 1 mark for that. Okay, then we have to balance. Present in the largest number is either beryllium or sodium. Doesn't matter which one I pick because the only number I need to put in is right there. Okay, that will take care of the 2s on the bromide, sorry, and the sodium. Okay, everything else is a 1. They don't have to write the 1s. Okay, written out in words. This one may get a couple people because what does iron need? A Roman numeral, and in this case, it's 2. All right, so iron, Roman numeral 2, oxide, okay, plus sodium bromide. Okay, gives iron 2, bromide, plus sodium oxide. Okay, so 1 mark for written in words, 1 mark for balance, 1 mark for DR. Questions on the first 3? Okay. For number 4, we've got copper 2 nitride breaks down into nitrogen gas and copper. All right, what kind of reaction would that be? Decomposition. All right, so if they have decomp, simple decomp, something like that. Okay, give them a mark. Copper 2 nitride, Cu. That 2 means it's the copper with the 2+ charge. So 2+, nitride is -3. So when we drop and swap, we get Cu3N2. Okay. Sorry, breaks down into. So we go straight to the arrow. Nitrogen gas, special, and copper, not special. Hey, everybody with me so far? How many people had a lot of trouble balancing this one? Okay, if you have trouble balancing it, and you just can't get it to balance, what should you double check? Okay, answer is your drop and swap. If you can't, absolutely can't, get an equation to balance no matter what you've done, go back and check that you swapped and dropped your compounds correctly. That is always a sign that you have not got the right amount of something in the small numbers through the swap and drop. Okay, so if that happens to you, always double check your swap and drop, because I imagine a few people may have swapped and dropped copper to nitride incorrectly. All right, so present in the largest number is copper. All right, but if I put a 3 in front of copper, that should solve it. Okay. All right, so 1 mark for having the equation balanced correctly, either blank blank 3 or 1 1 3, and the equation written out exactly as I have. 1 mark. Decomp, 1 mark. Okay, dead giveaway on the type of reaction in number 5. Burns means combustion. Okay. But I find inevitably if I put C7H16 reacts with oxygen, nobody gets it right, so I end up just saying burns. Okay. All right, and I also give you the compound, mostly because I don't know the prefix for 16, so there was no way for me to write it out in words for you. Okay. Presence of oxygen, okay, to form carbon dioxide and water, which are always the products of a combustion reaction. So give them a mark if their formula looks like that. Okay, next thing, balancing. 2 special rules for balancing combustion reactions. Balance in alphabetical order and the rule of 2. Do both apply or only one apply? Only one applies. Okay, we have an odd number of carbons here, so we can just start off with 7 there. 16 hydrogens means an 8 here. 7 times 2 oxygens is 14, plus 8 more is 22. Okay, 11 times 2 is 22. Okay, so either blank 11, 7, 8 or 1, 11, 7, 8 for balancing. All right, 3 marks there. Okay, number 6, potassium permanganate, KMnO4. They may have had the MnO4 in brackets. If they did, that's fine, as long as there's no number outside of the brackets. Okay, reacts with magnesium hydroxide, Mg. This is 2 plus. Hydroxide is -1, so when we drop and swap, we should have that. Okay, to give us potassium hydroxide. Okay, and magnesium permanganate. All right, when we drop and swap, that's what those should look like. Yes, John? Oh, sorry, there shouldn't be a K in there. It should just be manganate. Good catch. Alrighty, what kind of reaction is that? Double replacement reaction. So give them a mark for DR. Give them a mark if their reaction looks like what I have down there. And now we have to balance. Okay. On this side, I've got 2 OHs, so I need to put a 2 there. That gives me 2 potassium, so I need to go back over here and write a 2, which just so happens to balance my permanganates for me. Okay. And now the reaction is fully balanced. Okay. So it's 2, 1, 2, 1. Right. And you will often see that kind of a pattern happen in replacement reactions in general, because something's always switching, so you get kind of this alternating pattern of numbers. Okay. No, that one's a 3. 1 mark for DR, 1 mark for the reaction, 1 mark for the balancing. Okay. All right, and then for number 7, we got to predict the products. So in order to predict the products, what do I first have to identify about this reaction? Okay, so what kind of reaction is it? It's a double replacement reaction. In a double replacement reaction, what do? Swap the metals, right. Okay, I tried to pick essentially the easiest one other than synthesis for you to do on your first one. All right, so we swap the metals here, which is going to give us calcium with bromine and iron with chlorine. All right, so once I've partnered everything up, that's the first or the second step after identification. Now I need to check for special elements and drop and swap. Well, there's no special elements because nothing's by itself, right? But I have 2 ionic compounds I need to drop and swap. Calcium's always a 2 plus, bromine's always a -1, so this is CaBr2. Iron could be 2 or 3. What was it on the reactant side? 3. Then it's 3 over here. And we get FeCl3. All right, so 1 mark for CaBr2, 1 mark for FeCl3. Okay, final mark for balancing. So here's what we have to do. All right, essentially I can start with anything I want. All right, because everything's kind of about the same number. So let's just start with chlorine. There's 3 chlorine over here, but there are 2 over here. Lowest common multiple, 6. So 3 times 2 is 6. 2 times 3 is 6. That gives me 2 irons. So I go back over here and I make sure my irons work. And then I have 3 calciums here. So what do I need here? Okay, 3, 2, 3, 2. Okay, so we get that, again, that kind of alternating pattern of numbers in a replacement reaction. Okay, that's not a hard and fast rule, okay, but you often see it. All right, so that one's out of 3. The whole thing's out of 21. So give them a mark out of 21. Let them see it. Put it in the box, and then come back to your desk, please. So this is the sheet that you have in front of you. All right, the top 7 here, okay, are just balancing practice. I would say you're not going to get questions like 6 and 7 on a quiz or a test. They're way beyond what I would expect of you on a quiz or a test. But if you need a challenge, you're starting to get cocky about your ability to balance equations, okay, you can try those. Okay, they'll stump you for a little while probably. Okay, and then the rest are, I've given it to you in words. I expect you to write it out in formula form, predict the products, and balance. So if we're looking at the first one together here, potassium is added to water. Okay, so K plus H2O, or you could actually write it as K plus HOH. Your products are different depending on how you write it. So there would be 2 correct answers for this one. All right, so if I have K plus H2O, what's H acting as here? A metal. So this is a what kind of reaction? Single replacement. So I end up with K with O and hydrogen by itself. The next rule was look for specials, hydrogen special, swap and drop ionics, -2, +1. All right, so we got K2O, right, plus H2. Now balance the reaction. 2 potassium, so I need a 2 there, and that should pretty much do it. Okay, your other option could have been if you'd have written this as K plus HOH. What do you get for products now? KOH plus H2. All right, you still have hydrogen. You got to go back and rebalance. So you got to put a 2 here. Weird, huh? The reality of it is that when you put those things together, both things happen. Okay, for all intents and purposes. John? Yes, sorry, you would. Yep. All right. So on a quiz or a test, something, both of those would obviously be marked correct. Okay. So you can get started on that. Key is online. Okay. You go to that file on my website that's keys to all reaction worksheets. Okay. It's in there amongst the other ones. Oh. Okay, so Science 10, notes and assignments, chemistry. No, it's keys to all reaction worksheets right there. Okay, and you just got to scroll through till you get to the right one. Okay, so it is all there. I don't know what happened over here, but it's all there. All right, so you can check it on yours. All right. Just remember, do one, check it. Do another one, check it. Don't do the whole page and then check, just in case you're doing something wrong. We don't want to practice a bad habit. All right. So if any of them give you trouble, just let me know. Okay, we'll go through them together.